So we're going to find the domain vertical asymptotes and the horizontal asymptotes for this function. And when we're looking for the domain, we should always start with the assumption that the domain is everywhere from negative infinity to positive infinity, and then we can try to look and find the restrictions. Some of the common restrictions would be we can't divide by 0, which will be the case for this one, and we also can't have the square root of a negative number since we're going to be working with the real number system. So if we had something like this, y equals the square root of x plus 9, our domain is going to be restricted to values that are negative 9 or bigger, because we would just take x plus 9 and make that greater than or equal to 0, and we would solve that. But for the one we have here, we can factor the denominator, or if you wanted to, you could use the quadratic formula. But we're going to say that x squared minus 64 equals 0, and then we need to solve. So there's different ways we could do this. One we could factor, another one we could just add 64 to both sides. That would give us x squared equals 64, and then we take the square root, and we have to realize there's going to be a positive and negative answer. So in this case, x equals 8, comma negative 8, and you may also see this written as x equals plus minus 8. So those are my restrictions. Those are also going to be my vertical asymptotes. So my vertical asymptotes would be this right here, x equals plus or minus 8. These are my vertical asymptotes. I'm kind of doing two of these questions at once. So the domain would be everywhere from negative infinity all the way up to negative 8. And we put a or, that's like a big U almost, negative 8 to comma 8, or 8 to positive infinity. That's going to be my domain there. For the horizontal asymptote, I'm going to abbreviate this as HA. This one is going to be y equals 0. And the reason why is we look for the degree, the largest, which is the largest exponent. And the degree for the denominator is bigger than the degree for the numerator. It's 2 for the denominator, and it's 1. And if that's the case, if your denominator is greater than your numerator, it's going to be y equals 0. If the degree was in the numerator was greater than the degree in the denominator, there is none. And if the degree equals for the denominator and the numerator, then you look at the coefficients. So I'm going to write out a quick example. Let's say we had 6x to the third plus, let's say 5x to the third plus 4x squared. The degrees are a tie, so then we just the horizontal asymptote would just be 6 over 5. We look at the coefficients, and that would be your restriction, or I'm sorry, asymptote. And if it was something a little bit different, such as if we didn't see a number there, let's say it was x to the 4th divided by 2x to the 4th. Well, we have to remember there's actually a 1 right here. So the horizontal asymptote would be at y equals 1/2. And do note the difference when you're looking for a horizontal asymptote, it's going to be a y equals, and when it's a vertical asymptote, it's going to be an x equals. So if you have any kind of questions, ask your math teacher.